the Board of County Commission meeting, June 14th, 2016, and we have with us the Executive Director from Rodeheaver's Boys Ranch, Mr. Ken Johnson, Reverend Ken Johnson in this case this morning, and we're glad to have you here, sir. If you'll lead us in prayer, and we're going to have Mr. Harvey lead us in the pledge afterwards. Thank you.
May we stand and pray. Lord, we thank you for your love to us. There are so many things on our mind this morning, Lord, as we celebrate this Flag Day, thanking you for all the blessings that we have here in our country. At the same time, Lord, our heart goes out to those families who are involved in the Orlando tragedy just south of us. Lord, we thank you for working in their lives, and we pray that you will comfort these families in a special way. Lord, we need your wisdom this morning. I pray, Lord, for the wisdom of God, Lord, for the commissioners who are on duty and all the staff that's here and all the people who have come and so far as the forum is concerned. Lord, we want to be mindful of our responsibilities here this morning. We want to be aware of our own defects and shortcomings, be acutely aware. Help us, Lord, know that we need your blessings. Help us to be bold in our right decisions. Help us to make a distinction where you know that there's a difference and you said that there's a difference. Lord, give us wisdom, give us knowledge, give us faith, courage, and strength. We need your blessings today and always. Lord, we acknowledge your presence here today and ask for your hand of blessings on our community and this county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Would you join in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Commissioners, how are y'all this morning? I'm glad. We've got the May 24th minutes in front of you on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
We had a second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The minutes carry. Okay, at this time we have Linda Myers, our tax collector, is with us this morning with a recognition, and good morning to you.
Good morning. And happy, enjoyable Flag Day, historic day for America. We're glad to be here on that day. Interestingly enough, we're here to celebrate another one of Putnam County neighbors that works in the tax collector's office, and it's Richie Morris. But I would be remiss if I did not recognize my predecessor, Ken. What was his name? Mahaffey. Ken here, because I am sure, and am I correct, Ken, you probably hired Richie Morris. So it would be my pleasure to stand with you today as we recognize Richie
That'd be
Morris.
great. I think Ken is happily retired.
He is happily busy. He has
Yes,
taken
he
on
is.
so many projects. I don't know what they were doing without you. We're just glad you're able to do that. Again, pleasure to be here with you. May I invite Brenda Bridges, our Director of Operations, who was also hired by Ken, and Richie Morris to join us. You did a great job. You left me a great office. Thank you. Thanks to the citizens for letting me to replace you. Brenda, who is Richie's direct supervisor, is going to share a little bit about Richie's history with us.
Let's roast him.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Very well.
Richard Morris began his career in the tax collector's office in June of 2001. Richie's wore many hats. He worked with bankruptcy filings and worked in what used to be referred to as the delinquent tax department. Richie now serves as the courier for our office and is responsible for the communication between our office and the outlying offices, the annexes in South Putnam and West Putnam. So that communication is very important, not only for our office, but the supervisor of elections, the clerk of courts, and the property appraiser's office. November 1st, 2005, Richie received his designation as a certified Florida collector assistant. And Richie is an integral part of our team, so if you would please join us at this time and with appreciation and thanks for Richie for his 15 years of dedicated service to Putnam County.
She's so good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before we have a chance to leave, I did want to say Richie took on that new job as the courier. It was a collaborative effort between the property appraiser's office, the clerk's office, and the supervisor of elections in our office. At one time, we actually hired that service out, and we found that when we came together, we actually had a better situation and we used our employee more effectively. And Richie has taken on the responsibility. The clerk's office has our backup for when Richie is not available. So it's just an example where Richie stepped up in a new position and made it as good as it is for Putnam County. And I have to thank my partners in that, making that work. Before I leave you, of course, I always tell you the specialty tag of the month. June because of Flag Day, and July because of July 4th, of course, historic points in the history of our country. We are doing patriotic license plates. Please stop by your tax collector's office, the Palaca office, and we have a wall of probably 10% of what's available. There's almost 100 that have to do with military, well, that's probably an exaggeration, probably close to 50 that have to do with military, and in most of them you actually had to have served. For example, there's a Korean War veteran tag now, kind of a new one, but you have to have orders that showed you actually served. But there are a number of them that you don't have to be a veteran, you just bring to visibility the actively serving and the veterans of our country. So it's an opportunity for every citizen to represent that on their license tag. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today, and we proudly serve your citizens as well.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Always have you. Nice to have you in the room.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, commissioners, we will go to public comment at this time. And first on our list, we have Taylor Ruckowitz. And then Faith Sparkman after that.
My new Facebook friend. Oh, whoa.
Later we'll get.
Taylor, if you would, little mic etiquette here. You have to get real close and speak right into that mic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the QI Roberts Junior Senior High School Band, we would like to thank you for coming to our school to hear us play. It meant a lot to us. We also have a special thank you to Mr. Harvey for cooking our chicken for our Christmas concert, for without him, it would not have been such a success. Mr. Flagg, we also have a special thank you to you for donating the musical instruments from your church. It helps us a lot. Excuse me. Again, thank you for all you do. Hope to see you again this year. Sorry, I stutter a lot.
Thank you.
There we go. I will pass that on. Thank you. How appropriate on Flag Day.
Again, QI Roberts would really and truly thank you for all that you do for us when we have our concerts. And we hope really to see you all again. You will get special invitations from the children. Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Ms. Sparkman, you're next.
Good morning. The first thing is, I will thank Mr. Larry Harvey for helping us get Ted Yoho and Mr. Pelletier coming for Veterans Night. We actually had 52 people there, and so it was really a good turnout for a rainy, rocky day.
That's right.
My problem is County Road 315. It's not ready for a hurricane. The mowing that they did, we have grass and weeds up over half of the signs. Okay. The incident happened in Orlando. One of the outlets is County Road 315. I-95 was packed, so they would have come up 315. It has to be taken care of. It can't be on the agenda for a couple years from now. If we start to get hurricanes, 315's not going to stand it. You got trees and brushes growing out, they'll be all down in 315. So whatever you want to do, you got to do. The other thing is, my husband would not let me bring the stones today. Some of them are like this, because that county came out and put millings down on a quarter of it. with the grader on top. Well, guess what it did? It brought them stones back up, which came through the window before, which we've never got reimbursed for. So this time, I'm really upset. So I called Mr. Harvey, he came and took pictures. Something's got to stop. Either we have a county engineer that's gonna fix these two roads, but those stones, if they come back through the house, I'm not gonna be nice this time. So somebody's got to do something. Thank you.
Okay. Right, that's the only blue cards I have this morning. Anybody from the public? Mr. Spells, how are you, sir?
John Spells, 106 Citrus Lane. I got several issues I want to bring to your attention. Hunter Road is one of them. I went out there and I noticed that the elevation of Hunter Road is higher, much higher than what it really needs to be, because there's not a ditch on the left-hand side. And with that road elevated at that height, everybody's yard gonna be a retention pond. And I don't understand why did they elevate it so high when they could have actually stayed at the grade that they just about already had with that other stuff they put down. But now everybody's yard, when it rains, gonna flood with water on the left side. From Church Road all the way down to Sweetwater Creek, there's no culverts under no driveways. There's nowhere for the water to actually go. So everybody's yard gonna get flooded. And I'm just curious, on Church Road, coming to Hunter Road, there's a void in the middle. Is they gonna tie that pavement into Hunter Road pavement, or leave a dirt spot in between the both of them?
That's a question for the engineers at Public Works, Mr. Spells.
Okay, well, y'all
To
can,
you in the back, and Mr. Nimitz is got you.
all right, and I look at East Palaca, that Lewis Briar project that you're doing. I don't understand why did they make that road so narrow. If I'm coming up Putnam Boulevard and want to turn on the Lewis Briar, I pretty well have to wait till there's nothing on that road in order to swing in there to come in with a trailer. Now, the road that y'all said wasn't wide enough to go around that corner, I can pull my truck and trailer all the way around that, but that little narrow road there, it ain't very much wider than the rails and trail. But to me, I don't understand why they didn't put a wider apron onto that road in order for the traffic, because you're gonna break the corners off the road with cheating the road being so narrow the way it is. And even farther down, there's potholes on the left-hand side. I come in here last year talking about it, and won't nobody even go there and put nothing in those holes. And it's sad to know that as many county officials drive that road, those potholes right in front of those homes like that. To me, it don't make sense. It really seems like you really don't give a darn about the people down there, but you can take and fix a road to cross it, but then you won't even fix the road that the people, the citizens actually live along. And my next issue is, I think the county got, what, 2 or 3 wing mowers. Am I wrong or right?
That's right.
I don't understand why the guy in these new tractors got to zigzag all these brush and tree limbs, and every now and then use the wing mower to cut the bushes back enough in order to mow the grass. Because I looked the other day when I drove off into the ditch, because the bushes are so tall in the ditches, till he couldn't determine on how deep the ditch was right on West River Road. And to me, it looks sloppy to zigzag and cut all the time when you got 3 machines. You can actually go ahead of that tractor, mow the ditches, and get all the overhanging brush, rather than letting that one man determine on where he can drive that tractor because he can't see. So I hope y'all kind of put a little more pride into the taxpayers' dollars when you got 3 machines that you bought to use, and it seems like you don't use them no more. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Smells, thank you. Next I have Ms. Paula. I can't read your last name, but you're up. You just put the blue card up. Looks like you ran out of room on the card.
Only meant 2 people.
Okay. Oh, it is 2, I see.
Slaughter. And Mary Slaughter.
Okay. We're partners in crime.
Welcome to you both.
We would first like to say good morning to each and every one of our county commissioners and county administrator, and to each and every one. We're here to address this morning an issue. But first, before we go any further, we would like to ask, could item H be pulled? from the agenda, please.
Miss Mary, Miss Mary, you might want to pull that microphone closer to
Oh,
you.
okay. Come on, close, girl. You want to talk first? Can I proceed?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Mary Slaughter, and we're here because she and I have formed a partnership called Advocates for the People of Putnam County. And what we are trying to do, what we have been fighting to do, is we work with USDA Housing, with Brenda Bryan out of Ocala, Florida. And we're in the process of trying to get help for people in the south end of Putnam County. We have taken over 200 applications, and out of those 200 applications, every one of them has been rejected because for the simple reason of the credit score and a other number of other things. But we are aware that there has been hardship that they can kind of lean toward it, kind of help, see can they help some people, but we haven't heard anything as of yet. So we have been looking into a lot of different things because the south end of Putnam are in dire need of help. It's like I know y'all get so tired of hearing this, but it's like we get leftovers, we get looked over. There's nothing there for decent housing for people. And if you come and visit the area, you have a lot of people living in mold-infested house, black mold, and I mean deplorable conditions. And we're trying to make a difference in our community, not just for South Putnam, but we're doing it for anyone that want to come and put in an application. We're there to help. We were told by Mr. Harvey, we thank God for him, that there was, Fed gave Florida $50 million to improve public housing. The federal official, yes, from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we was wondering, could any of that money be filtered in as far as helping us maybe think outside the box to get some of this money, even to maybe buy up HUD housing so we can fix them up and rent those out to people, so to try to make a difference, because this can't keep happening. Even if we can have any public housing built, there has to be a remedy for this solution, a solution for this remedy, I'm sorry. And we're here to ask the North Florida Regional Council, Mr. Brian, if he can help in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's just like we've came against a brick wall, and we can't proceed any further. We have been told numerous of times that we can get this, we can do this, and then when we get to that point, there's that wall. We
Ms.
can't
Slaughter,
proceed
let me
any
ask you,
further.
in the Marion County region, are you working with HUD there, is what
We're
you're
work-
telling me? But you've
US,
never,
USDA.
you're in a different district.
I know, she says she has traveled to Putnam County numerous of times and trying to get people to take initiative of this money, but nobody has responded. So she said, if you and Paula can get the applications, get the $25 for the credit report, submit it to me, I'll run the credit report, and then I will be responsible for sending the letter of rejection or approval, which we have been doing. But just like I said, everyone we have submitted has came back.
Have you ever attended a SHIP meeting here?
No, sir, I haven't. No, I haven't. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to pull item H from the
All right,
agenda.
I'm gonna go on through public comment.
Okay.
And when we pull H, you'll have an opportunity to come back up
Okay.
and we can discuss it further. And I think there's some very important contacts that you're missing in this that we can straighten out. Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These two ladies have been tirelessly fighting for all of Putnam County
Yes.
lately. And Congressman DeSantis' office, Robert Munns, has been working. We came very close to having a housing summit with the players in the market, and didn't happen, but we're still hopeful. Robert's trying to still put all the pieces together. Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to say last week's board meeting at Northeast Florida Regional Planning Council, our chairman, Mr. Vernon Myers, has created an ad hoc committee on affordable housing. So I immediately put my hand up to volunteer to be on that committee. because I believe regionally and locally we can benefit from that. So with all that in play, Mr. Chairman, I think we're going to move this needle a little bit forward pretty soon.
It's crucial we get in the right district.
Okay.
I know that. And you're in the Northeast Florida district, and you're now asking in Central. Now, they can guide you, but you're going to end up here.
Well, the reason why we're working with her is because she said Putnam County did have an office here in Putnam County, but after, I guess, the response was so low that they closed a lot of the office, and that's the main focus point. That's the only office near is Ocala, so that's where we have to communicate with her.
Sounds like communication is key here.
Yes, yes it is, yes it is.
So where's the
So
$50
we-
million?
Yeah, where's the 50 million? I like that, too.
Yeah, who said that there was $50 million available?
We received an email, we have it right here from, who's that? Mr. Harvey?
That might have come from Mr. Munns.
Well, let's move on for time's sake right now, and we'll pull it off the agenda under H, and that's something we can drill down on later.
Oh, okay, all right, well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public? Good morning.
Good morning, Roxana Regan Weeks, 4 Loring Street, St. Augustine, Florida. I'd like to ask anyone on this commission if you have met with anybody at the Sheriff's Department regarding the dog fighting issue that was 6 months ago. If you have any updates or information.
Ongoing investigation, I have met with the sheriff.
And,
He's investigating.
okay. Federal officials in South Florida say otherwise, so.
Okay, well, that's
Okay.
something that we're.
My second
we'll let
issue.
the Sheriff do, thank you.
Yeah, we know what kind of job he does. My second issue, it's been brought to my attention now that there was a contract verbally awarded to an individual. There was no public bids. This was for painting of 2 trucks and a Humvee for the Emergency Operations Center. And a citizen brought it to your attention, Chairman Lible, and you told him you would look into it. And I'd never met this person. But I'm not hard to find. People can find me on Facebook. I'm just known. And he said when you called him back the next day that you told him on the phone if he was working with me, you were not going to get involved in this.
I have no recognition of that. Mr. Manning, I think that you have the latest on this contractor situation, and anyhow.
Yeah,
question.
it was brought to our attention that the business, it was an individual with a DBA performing the work, and it was brought to our attention that the DBA for that, the state registration for that DBA had expired.
Mm-hmm.
So I advised the purchasing department that they should not be issuing any further purchase orders and contact this individual to see if he wanted to get his license up to date, in which case they could continue utilizing this individual.
There you go.
Okay, let's go to the details of this then.
We're not going to discuss the details here. This is public comment. If you have
Okay.
comments, go ahead.
Well, I happen to know that the DBA expired in 2008 at a Jacksonville address. He hasn't been in business. He had no county occupational license. He's a non-existent business. This was not put out to public bid that's required. It was just a verbal thing over the phone. He was awarded on this particular contract in excess of $13,000. And I find that a lot for painting 2 trucks and a Humvee. And I've put in a public records request to the county finance department to see for the last 3 years what else they've paid this individual, because I don't know that this is the only job. I don't doubt the man that contacted me and told me about your statements. You and I, we've butted heads many times, particularly about
I'm saying
animal
you
control.
have nothing to do with this. It's your opinion, and you can state your opinion publicly from that podium right there.
Okay,
But
my
other than that,
opinion
you're not an
is,
official investigator or anything else.
no, but I am certainly, after years of working through the maze of this county,
We know.
familiar with how to get public records, where to go for records, things like that. Because people get
Well, let me tell you,
stonewalled.
when that constituent called me, I told him that I would work with him and him only. It went to Mr. Manning where I should have. Mr. Manning took care of it, and that person is not doing business with the county. End of story.
And the person that authorized that,
No longer works for the county.
no, not the contractor. I'm talking about the person that set up that deal verbally over the phone.
We have no record of that. That's
Yes,
something you've.
Mr. Manning, did you not state that in an email? That the contract price was verbal? There is no written contract. Nobody's been able to produce that.
If you've got some comments, go ahead with them now or not, or this is over.
Okay, here's my comment. If you did, I have no reason to doubt this man. If you did state that if I was working with it, that's why I was brought into it, because of this statement. And I had no involvement. I'd never met this man. But I find it very unprofessional and downright childish if such a comment were made. And for you, if you did make that comment, to target me and specifically,
Oh, the man I'm working with
can
him.
I finish, please?
Yes, finish. By all
Okay,
means.
if you specifically targeted, if a citizen came to you for help and pointed out this misappropriation of money and unlawful acts and improper procedure for going about this, and, you know, for you to say, if you're involved with Roxanne Weeks in this, that's, I've got a big problem with that. I don't know why this man would lie about it. I don't doubt it for a minute. I know what's been done now, and I'm just waiting on the financial records for the last 3 years to see what else this individual's been awarded. Because apparently this is one of those buddy jobs where somebody just called up and said, give him $13,000. Let him give, no public bids, no written bids, nothing. And that's not the way this county is supposed to run. And I have knowledge from years of experience of how to work through this maze that is set up to keep people from finding out information. This is not a user-friendly county when it comes to finances and public records and things of that nature. And I just don't appreciate being targeted and set out that I'm just somebody to stay away from. And I just know that the law says people have a right to know. We're the taxpayers, we're the citizens, y'all work for us. So to do this to anybody, me or anybody else,
Please wrap it up, Ms. Weeks.
I'm done. I can see I'm wasting my time here.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public this morning? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to consent agenda. We've had a request to pull item H. Commissioners, do you have any other requests this morning?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item E for clarification.
E and H, anything else? P for a little clarification. Okay.
And item G too, sir.
You had G, you said?
Yes, sir.
What was the other one?
I think we got E, G, H, and P. Is that correct?
E, G, H,
That's what I have.
and P. All right, let's take a moment.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was gonna make a motion to approve items.
Please.
A, B, C, D, F, I, J, K, L, M, N, O.
Second?
Good job. Any further discussion on those items? If not, everybody signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it carries. Thank you, Commissioner Flagg. Okay, give us just a moment to pull all these. 24, 28. I'm taking first the lowest number, pages 24 through 28.
Item E.
Who pulled that?
I did, sir.
Okay. Floor is yours, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, sir. Chief Patterson, could I ask you to come to the microphone? And as he's coming, I'll give you a little brief history. I've received a couple phone calls about this. And I just want to bring everything out publicly. I'm sure Chief Patterson has done his homework. But one of the owners of this business is our medical director, who is employed by the county. And our policy states that he has to give you 6-month intervals regarding the nature and scope, and I'm sure he did. So what I'm trying to do is just make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed.
Yes, sir.
And the public knows that there's no shenanigans going on here, and this is a valid thing. And I have full confidence in you and your staff to make sure that this is right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, our medical director is a medical director for us, the paper mill, Seminole, Courtesy.
Hospice, yeah.
He's medical director in a lot of places.
Yes, sir.
And he's a very good medical director. And actually, I didn't communicate with the medical director at all about this. They asked for 6 years. I agreed to meet him halfway and recommended 3.
I saw that, yes, sir.
And what else can I tell you, sir?
Chief Patterson, you told me enough.
Okay.
I got one.
Bring
Chief
it out on the
Patterson,
record, that's all.
You
Thank
can explain or just share with us, the room here, what this company does in the way of saving our ranks time, money, and affords us, I had the same question for the chief.
Sure.
The ability to focus on what we do, which is emergencies.
Number one, it's a private entity. It's a private entity. And we don't, there's no taxpayer dollars that I'm aware of that goes to Courtesy. They take people home. They do doctor's office, stretcher runs. They do things that we could not physically, we would be so backed up with 911 calls, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do what they do right now. We can't afford it. If we could afford to put on a lot of staff and trucks and all that stuff, which sure, but we cannot afford it.
Share with the commission what you told me a couple days ago when we were talking about this subject, as far as if we run short on ambulances, he's able to commandeer one of these things.
Well, we've done it. We had the school bus turnover out in the west end of the county, in fact. We called the cavalry, their backup that we don't have to pay for. I mean, they're sitting there ready. They're not advanced life support, but they can transport, and they are EMTs. They're all EMTs. And so, in addition to that, if we had an ambulance, I had no spare ambulances yesterday available. If we broke down one, we were out of an ambulance. I could pick up the phone, call Courtesy. Florida law in 401 says we can move a basic life support truck up to an advanced life support truck, and we would put one of our paramedics on there to cover, so we would have an adequate number of ambulances available to respond to 911 advanced life support calls. And then when we got something up and running, we would take that back down. They're very handy often. So I have no vested interest in it other than for the benefit of the county.
And I find that very beneficial. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, I'd like to move item E for approval, please.
Let's make a list and we'll take them all at once.
Okay.
How's that? Thank you, Chief
I'll withdraw.
Patterson. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay.
You might need to stay.
What's that?
You might need to stay.
Look, that'll be Quinn too. Item 30 through 37, guys. Who pulled it? You pulled it, didn't you?
I did.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Yes, sir. On this, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the time. On this item right here, it's a real simple one. I've talked to Chief Romay this morning. As you know, the director of the First Coast Technical College has removed herself, and she has signed the documents. Chief Romay assures me that when we get a new director or a new president there, that whoever that person is will sign these additional documents.
Mr. Chairman, I've been in contact with the college. The college has assured me that this action was taken at a board meeting in April, when both the president and the chairman were duly authorized to sign this document at a board meeting, and that they will honor the document as it exists.
There you go, Mr.
Thank
Harvey.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion on this matter? Okay. We're good. That was G. All right, who pulled H?
Mrs. Slaughter did.
Okay. Mrs. Slaughter did.
And Mrs. Nichols.
Ms. Nichols, too. Welcome back, ladies.
Is there a cow in the room?
All right, as we said earlier,
Who do we have here?
do I need to repeat? I don't have to repeat everything I said. Okay. I would just like to correct something. When I said we are partnership with USDA, we're representing Putnam County, not Marion County. So I didn't know whether you had misunderstood what we were saying.
Well, USDA is located there, and it's.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So she just gave us the permission to just take care of Putnam County and the other little surrounding areas that are close to us. So that's what we're doing. And as I said earlier, we are trying to address whatever issue we can as far as helping create some decent housing in Putnam County, the South End. Ms. Myers just informed me that, which we did not know, that Habitat for Humanity is also partnership with USDA. We wasn't told that, so if we knew that, we could have went down that avenue. But I did speak to Patrick Adams, who is the city administrator in Crescent City, and he had told me he was the president of Habitat, but he did not inform me that there was partnership with them as well. But that's not the case. We need your help. That's the bottom line. We need your help. South End is crying for help. And we're here, we don't know what else to do. So if you all can guide us in the right direction on the way, which we should go and address this issue, by all means, we're here. We're open to any suggestion.
If I could, blue card, add all your contact information and give it to Tony, and we will correspond with you when the appropriate meetings are going on, and we can take this to another level. Okay? Okay, anything else on H this morning, commissioners? All right, we're gonna close this out also and go to item
Thank
P,
you.
which was me. Yes, ma'am. Who had P?
That was
you,
me.
Walton?
That was me.
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr.
Bell just walked
Tompkins.
Yes, he was talking to one ear and you in the other.
I'm sorry.
Trying to transfer. Mr. Tompkins, we have talked about this, and in this conversation, I remember distinctly that we were discussing the intersection of St. John's and Moody, and I don't see that anywhere here, and I would like to know why.
St. John's and Moody is already under contract with Beach and Smith as part of the job they're doing now on Putnam County Boulevard in Lewisboro. That was already done as part of the addendum that was bid originally.
Okay.
What we added was what we discussed at the Transportation Committee was doing the restriping at Palm and St. John's to alleviate that situation there. It was advantageous to the county to enter into a change order with them to extend the striping for that intersection.
Okay, I just don't remember ever seeing.
Both intersections are being done.
I can tell you what's confusing. I think it was Commissioner Flagg that brought the Palm and St. John situation forward, and your church resides at Moody and St. John's, which we're also striping later. I was thinking about that.
Just as our director has said, the St. John's and Moody was already in the contract. And then when we talked about the issue at Palm and St. John's, and so that was added to it. So what you're asking about was in it already in the original bid, and this is an addendum to get this one in. So end of story is, both of them are in.
Right.
It should relieve major congestion.
But that's why it's not specified, Moody is not specified because it was already in the original.
Any idea when that work's gonna be done?
I believe, Mike, within the next 30 days, but they're finishing up the drainage work now in Lewisboro, and then once they get that done, they'll bring their striping guy in, they'll do it all at one time.
Mike, what
All
are
three.
All three.
the northeast corner of St. John's and Palm? Now, how are you gonna double lane that? I was looking at it the other
We were
day.
not prepared to bring a picture, but we do have a plan for it, what we presented the Transportation Committee. We're actually gonna do away with one of the through lanes on, what leg was that?
St. John's, I believe.
On St. John's, so we'd have the through lanes would line up. So the turning movement on the left turn lane would not adversely impact the through movement.
Got it.
It's kind of hard to explain without having a picture here of
We'll
it.
wait to transportation. I have all the confidence in the world in you.
But we have it under control, and it will work very well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you have any concerns about the width of the Lewisboro extension as it relates to the comments that were made earlier?
I believe that is the area of the road that we are actually cul-de-sacing, the very end of that road. It will not make that access to Putnam County Boulevard anymore.
No, I'm talking about the new part. Are
Yeah.
you have any
At the
concerns?
very end of Lewisboro Road, where you make that real sharp 90-degree turn, right there where the trail is, and it is very narrow. Because of that, we're cul-de-sacing that road there and cutting that access point off.
Right, I know that, but I'm saying what he's talking about coming across the trail when it dead end to Putnam County Boulevard, the narrowness is what was being addressed by the citizen earlier. Or you can have any concerns about the
So
specs
that-
on the addition or the
Talking at the
extension?
very end of Lewisboro Road, right?
No, he's talking about the current.
Oh, the
phase of
current.
Phase one.
The new one
Okay.
that's coming across, directly across the trail, not the
At this
cul-de-sac.
point, no, we will review it in detail.
We'll
let you
review
know.
it, but right now, we're satisfied with there, but if we've taken a look at it and make sure.
Great,
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
that's all right, you're perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve items E, G, H, and P.
Motion on the floor, second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Thank you. And it carries. Okay. Let's make sure I'm here. All right. Bartram Trail, folks.
Tell by their shirt.
Little milestone in your effort this morning. You guys come on up. Dean and Ken. You can't leave Sam up here by himself. No telling what he'll say. He'll take all the credit.
Exactly right.
A great leader.
Yes, he is.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to, well, you probably already read it in the newspaper, but pleased to announce that the Bartram Trail in Putnam County has been designated as a National Recreation Trail. It's unbelievable. From our Secretary of the Interior says the Bartram Trail in Putnam County is a fine addition to the National Trails system this year. It joins 5 other newly designated national recreation trails across the United States with special recognition. We're proud of these trails and the partnerships and resource conservation they represent. Trails provide millions of Americans with outstanding opportunities to enjoy the great outdoors and so forth. So to me, this is just, it's huge for Putnam County. It's something that when we started this thing, Nancy started the committee and as a part of the Waterways Committee in September of 2012, I believe it was. And lo and behold, here we are. And it's come a long, long way, and it's been done because of the cooperation of the county and because of all that we've done. Getting this thing done. The cooperation with the county and its participation has been really good. We consider the committee to be part of the county commission because Nancy formed it, and it's always operated under the Waterways Committee. And so this is something that the county should be really proud of. Not only that, but as I was reading the message from Secretary Jewell about the designation, it occurs to me, I was eating a chicken wing and I didn't swallow the chicken wing, but then I thought, oh my goodness, Now we're nationally recognized. People are going to start coming to Putnam County.
Yeah, tell us, drill down on that, Sam, what it really means locally, this
Well,
designation.
you know, one of only 6 designated recreation trails in the nation in 2016 means that the National Park Service has this network of national recreation trails. And Putnam County, and the Bartram Trail in Putnam County is now one of that network. And so as they promote outdoor activities, they're going to be promoting Putnam County and the Bartram Trails in Putnam County. It's really amazing, you know, to think of us being exposed that large. How this came to be was really simple, from simple but complex, I guess you would say. But we were at a meeting in Tallahassee, and we showed them our Bartram brochure that was created here in Putnam County. And the state official, Liz Sparks, looks at it and she says, "We ought to make this a national recreation trail." I'm going, well, you know, I'll be honest with you, my back's a little tired right now. I'm not sure I can handle that. So she said, "I'll do it for you." And so basically she asked us for information, and we supplied it to her. And so the state of Florida actually was the one who applied for this thing and got it for us, because they recognize that that this is an ecotourism gem. And,
Well, it was a testament to your three
Well,
and some others' hard work, let's be honest, on the grassroots level. Yours to be commended. I mean, it's amazing in 3 short years where you took this project.
But there again, this is a Putnam County thing. The Putnam County IT department has created a website that is being copied by the University of Georgia, North Carolina, and Louisiana because of its content and the way that it's been designed and so forth. It's really excellent. So that's something that Putnam County really needs to be proud of. But we need to be ready for these people to come to town. Speaking of coming to town, we've already had the Paddle Rendezvous. Paddle Florida's come to town. Bike Florida has brought 2 groups in here, spending money at our restaurants and hotels to see this Bartram Trail. So it's working, and our you know, and by the way, it's not over. In December, I tried to fire the committee because I figured, okay, Bartram conference is over, you know, but we've done enough, and they wouldn't go away. So this Bartram committee, again, these 2 my friends have stood with us all along on this thing, is still active and so forth, and we got more to come actually. Ken's going to be leading a group to designate a Bartram Heritage Byway through Putnam County, and that's just, you know, people outside of Putnam County know us better in some cases than we do. It's really a shame. Well, a shame. It's the way that it is. We're known in London, England. We're known in Philadelphia and all that. And so this is really huge, and the opportunities are great. What I'm really here to ask you for today is for this commission to not squander the opportunity. There needs to be an effort to promote this, Bartram Trail, National Recreation Trail. There needs to be an effort to promote the hotels and all of those things that are here. And you know, after 3 years, all the promoting has been done by us. And really, it's time for the county to step up and say, we want to promote this thing, because it's going to be the county and the businesses here in the county that benefits from this thing. So however you do that, I don't care. And I don't mind sitting on the committee, but I ain't going to run the thing. Okay? It needs to be the county, and the Chamber of Commerce or whoever needs to have a real live ecotourism committee that operates and has the websites up so that people know how to come to Putnam County and how to enjoy this thing.
Sam,
Okay.
Commissioner Harris has some remarks, but before she remarks, would you just give me a simple outline I could take to the Tourism Development Committee? I chair that committee. And just something that'll get us started, a steering page.
Right.
What you think is crucial in the initial steps of us taking this kind of promotion on. I'd be more than happy to start that.
Most of the tourism counties, St. Johns County, Duval, Collier County I'm familiar with, and so forth, have their Tourism Development Council is active with going out and promoting. what we are active at is administering TDC funds. That's what we do. And again, that puts all the pressure back on the Bartram Trail Committee to write the grant, to do the things, to do all this and the, to do the promoting. It should be
That's
the
why
TDs.
I think we need to see that in a rough document, so
Sure,
we can make those improvements.
Sure, but there needs to be an honest to good effort, and there needs to be a website that says, here's where you rent pontoon boats. There needs to be a website that says, here's where you hire bass fishing guides. There needs to be a website that says, here's where you hire kayaks. It needs to be that. The county we have all of that stuff in existence, but nobody has put it together
I
in
agree.
a format that the visitors will see. And for us to we just don't invite people to town very well. That's been my line for a long time. We just don't do it.
Let's put Commissioner Harris in charge of it.
All right.
She's retiring.
I appreciate Sam saying Nancy's committee, but it's Sam's committee. Well, we had the Waterways Committee, and the county chairs that because we realize how important it is to appreciate the St. Johns River and support all the different things that may happen on the river, and particularly the tourism and ecotourism. But Sam came in one day and he said at the committee that he read the most interesting book about William Bartram's travels, and that he thinks we should do something with that. I said, okay, Sam, are you willing to chair it?
Sure.
And he did, and I have never seen anything take wings and fly like that. And the work that these gentlemen have done and that whole committee is incredible. They not only got out on the river and kayaked and visited each spot that Bartram talks about in his book, but they did all the research and set up the sites and organized what needed to be done. Now, Sam, from the beginning, has praised our IT department, and I want to thank them for what they've done and hope to do more recognition at a later time. But these guys are volunteers, and they have spent so much time, and everything, has come to fruition. We need to recognize that, and we need to put everything that we can towards this and putting it together and getting it organized. They cannot apply for all the grants. We have got to do some of that. We have, helped with signs and explored it. It's been really good. But we need to do more. This is quite an honorable recognition, and we need to encourage the chamber, and you being on that committee, that's how everything goes. We just need to connect what all of us do to present this and to bring it forward. And on Labor Day, they're having quite a big recognition of this. As many commissioners that can, should attend. We'll have people from the state of Florida, and will we have someone from the national?
I've invited them, and I haven't had a reply back. This all just happened in the last. But yes, we should have somebody from the National Park Service here, and the state will have representatives here. So we obviously need to welcome them and so forth. Our plan is to have an annual Bartram Frolic on Labor Day every year. That's the idea. Kind of springboarding off the Bartram Trail Conference that was here last November. And so we will have stuff going on Labor Day, and hopefully at that point in time we have a ceremony.
Okay. I wanted to say too that Ken, even went to England and gathered materials that we have that is in everything that we do. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder. Tell us about the plaque.
Well, this is the official plaque of recognition from the National Park Service Department of the Interior that recognizes the Bartram Trail and Putnam County Committee, who designates Bartram Trail and Putnam County as a national.
The mic a little bit, if you would, the microphone. The recorders pick you up better.
Recognition achievements by the Bartram Trail Putnam County Committee hereby designates the Bartram Trail and Putnam County as a National Recreation Trail National Park System, signed by Sally Jewell. And we've got signs to match. So this is ours, and we want to really make that event kickoff for the Bartram Trail in Putnam County. So that's what we've got. And I sure would appreciate it, Chip, if we could get some sort of targeted committee toward
I
ecotourism.
think
here
what we
in
need,
Putnam
be thinking about a member for the Tourism Development Committee. We need that.
Right, right.
We have one representing every other major sporting event
Right.
in the county, and we need one from this group. And then a little outline, I think we can take this by Labor Day to another level.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to again chime in on how appreciative we are for what you're doing, because that conference was second to none that you brought to Putnam County, and I'm sure that any of the other areas would have just really given up everything to have that. You brought it home, and that means so much. And when we had as many states represented and people that travel so far to come here, so I know that we recognize that the opportunities are limitless as it relates to tourism, but as you're saying now, it's a new day, and it's time for us to be a partner at the table closer, and I think that it may actually change the scope of what TDC is doing, because at the end of the day, if all you're doing is awarding grants, and I'm not minimizing what they do, but I'm saying I think that you're saying to us, it's got to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
It's got to happen.
Exactly. And, you know, it's, I've done a bit of traveling, and I'm on the Greenways and Trails Council, so I get to see things from a statewide level and so forth, and the assets that Putnam County has. Even your own commission had this, the asset assessment through the DOI, I think it is, or whatever it is, and all that. And their number one thing that they came up was the trail system here in Putnam County, especially the Bartram Trail. Well, obviously,
right.
You know, and it is. We're not going to spend any more money on trails. Mm-hmm. You know, we've got to maintain them, yes, but you know, what we're talking about doing is for people coming and seeing Putnam as it is. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's a lot more to Putnam County than a mud hole out here in Rodman. I mean, there is. You know, there's a whole river, and there's 250 miles of trails out here, and that's what people want to come see. And we need to invite them to town. We really do need to invite them to town. So our effort there. And our efforts are paying off. I want to play you a video. Some of you are included in this video.
In what capacity, we might not want to see it.
The Save the St. John's Tour passed the halfway point on day 7 as we departed Drayton Island. We'd been treated like family by the generous island residents and had a great evening at the Indigo Inn. This historic island had been one of the main campsites for the explorations of William Bartram and his father in the 1760s. Passing the Drayton Island Ferry, we continued north with Sam Carr of Putnam County Bartram Trail. We stopped at Mount Royal, the site of an ancient Native American mound excavated in the 1890s, which revealed that Florida natives had traded with the Indian tribes in Oklahoma well before the Spanish founded St. Augustine. We motored up to the Willaca Spring, where you can see the clear water boiling up through the tannin-colored waters of the river. On foot again, we visited the Sulphur Spring in Satsuma. The spring still runs over white algae and pink sands, just as it did when Bartram chronicled its disagreeable odor 2.5 centuries ago. Anyone who knows the work of the Riverkeeper knows that we believe that healthy rivers drive a healthy economy. Today we saw good examples of how commercial interests, recreational and environmental interests can all be accommodated. St. John's Shipbuilders is a commercial maritime company building and overhauling commercial vessels. From the main stem of the river, you would hardly notice the large industrial facility. Inside their cut, you can see the size of the operation. We had lunch at Putnam County's newest fish camp, Renegades, and then traveled up Dunn's Creek to the state's oldest at Georgia Boys. We concluded the day with a community discussion at the St. John's River Center in downtown Palatka. Representatives from Putnam County, the city, and the Water Management District joined community participants including Georgia Pacific, Putnam County Environmental Council, developers, and fishermen. Some people might be surprised to see such diverse groups breaking bread together, but it is only by working together that we can hope to stop more damage to our great river. We hope that you will join us on our mission by following SaveTheSt.Johns.org and regularly visiting stjohnsriverkeeper.org.
So, wasn't that very positive and so forth? Not only that, but that is they're also followed up with the Florida Channel was actually on the boat as it came through Putnam County and so forth. They produced a 30-minute video entitled Florida Crossroads. And out of that 30-minute video, easily 10 to 15 minutes of it was here in Putnam County. And that's been playing on PBS now or the
It
Florida
airs
Channel.
on Sunday mornings on
Exactly.
PBS in Jacksonville.
Exactly, and it's, and again, it included, a lot of that. Ken was provided the emotional close to the whole trip. And it was really amazing to see the exposure that Putnam County got because of its natural assets. So we'd appreciate any of the help you can get to keep this thing going. Appreciate if y'all would come out in September to frolic with us on the riverfront and help us as we get this Bartram Byway put through Putnam County. It's going to be awesome. So the DOT's already been contacted and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to do that. So thank you.
Good job. Everybody okay? Break, any of that stuff?
Keep riding.
Keep riding? Okay, Mr. Flag on Flag Day. Mr. Sammons, you're up next.
Good morning.
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 I have two cases before you today, both fine reductions. First one is 2015-00274, 116 School Street in East Palaca, Antoine Dallas and Karen Sessions. This is a case of not being hooked up to the East Palaca water system. The length of time to achieve compliance was 9 months. The length of time owned by the two individuals is the entire time. Staff recommendation was that the fine be reduced to $827, which is the cost that was accumulated dealing with the case. It's paid within 60 days of the board action. Special magistrate recommendation was to concur with the staff recommendation, but he recommended giving the owners 180 days to pay the fine. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Go ahead.
Mr. Sammons, it doesn't tell us how much the fine was.
I believe it was $3,150, but it's not written on there, sorry.
That's the only question I had.
Anybody here from the family, from the Dallas family today?
I got the impression from a communication they left me yesterday that they would not be here.
Okay.
So move.
All right.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Sammons. Item B.
Can you clarify for me, was the time to pay the 180 or the 60?
No, 600.
No, the time for them to make
180.
payment. The magistrate.
Recommended 180 days.
It was a recommended action.
Okay. Thank you.
Concur with the recommendation of staff and the special magistrate and give the owners 180 days is what my motion was for.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's clear.
Next case is 2014-00667. The place is at 105 Jenny Lane in Hawthorne. Rosemary and Francis Smith are the owners of the property. Type of violation, jug and debris and inoperable vehicles. Length of time to achieve compliance was 1 year and 7 months. We've had 10 other cases on this property since 2002. In this case, we had one lien. The property owners have owned it the entire time. Staff's initial recommendation on this property was not to reduce the fine as the property had been a fairly constant problem. During the discussion with the special magistrate, it became out that the property owner's sons were the problem and they no longer live there. Mrs. Smith did indicate that the boys still bring their inoperable vehicles over to work on them because there's more room there. Both staff and the special magistrate recommended to her that she tell them no next time. Staff recommended to the special magistrate that this one last time that we would recommend that the cost involved, which is $594 if it's paid within 180 days. The special magistrate concurred with the recommendation if it's paid within 180 days, which is December 11th. And he told the owners that staff recommendation was very generous and they should be very thankful. The amount of the fine was $6,375 initially. Any questions?
Anybody from the family here? Nope.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
how on Guards Green Acres could there have been 11 cases since 2002 and our administrative cost is this amount? Help me understand that.
Well, the back page has a breakdown
I
of
see the
those
back.
expenses. And
I
Mr.
see
Sammons,
that.
do you have?
The other cases have all been handled. They've come into compliance. There's been some fines that have paid on previous cases, but
Okay.
most of the time they came into compliance with a little cajoling by staff.
How much confidence does the staff have that Mama's, her no is going to be flat out unequivocal no? Because if all we're doing is just getting on the merry-go-round and going for the ride, I have a very difficult time with that.
We made it real clear at the special magistrate meeting that this would be the last time that we would do that. They would be considered repeat offenders, so fines would be more significant because of that, and that we would not be ever wanting to reduce the fine again.
My next question, Mr. Chairman, is to council. Is there such thing as a DPA agreement or something on that order that if these people revert back, that this thing can resurrect and we not have to deal with it? I mean, is there any potential for, I mean, if they're chronic, at the end of the day, you know, mamas don't say no as often as maybe they desire to because their heart kind of do something else.
Well, it's difficult because this is a fine reduction request. I suppose you could put some conditions in there that if there was another similar code case against her where she was found in violation within a certain amount of time, that the fine would go back up. I haven't seen that done before, but.
Well, if, under the recommendation, the special magistrate concurred with the 594 if it's paid within 180 days, but I also feel like that if there's a case within those 180 days, that we need to have some leverage to say that we're not teasing.
Is that possible?
I can clearly put that in a letter.
I mean, is it something that's legal that?
Well, sure, like I said, you could put in there, in your recommended motion, that it be reduced to 594 if paid within 180 days, and so long as, within that 180 days, there are no, new code enforcement actions brought for this same type of violation, junk and debris and inoperable vehicles within that time period.
Mr. Chairman, that is my motion. I see the director coming. I don't know whether.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion, Mr. Sammons?
Nope.
That's it, all right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it, John. Okay, 10 o'clock certain on this public hearing. I think Mr. Holmes is representing, and we have Mr. Cadle from staff. Mr. Cadle, if you'll open it up for us, please, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, before we get started, just
Yes.
remind you that this is a quasi judicial matter.
Yep.
Any ex parte communications should be disclosed at this time.
Starting on my left.
I have had no disclosures. I mean, I've had no contact with anyone.
I have none.
I have none.
I have none. I have none.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. Mr. Cadle.
Okay, good morning. Harris Burns Cadle, Putnam County Plan and Development Services. This is case LM 16002. The applicant is George Hill and REO Funding Solutions. The agent is Don Holmes. The request is for a future land use large-scale map amendment from agricultural 2 to industrial for manufacturing and distribution project or development. It's 3 parcels comprising in 29 plus minus acres, and it's located over by US 17 near the landfill, the county landfill. So I just want to go over process real quick, talk about what we're doing here. This is a large-scale map amendment. It does have a companion rezoning. We're not going to visit that today. We will visit that after transmittal. So at any rate, we've gone to the Planning Commission for the map amendment rezoning. Planning Commission has approved both of those, or recommended approval, excuse me. We're here for only the large-scale map amendment to transmit to the state. State reviews it, comes back to the Board of County Commissioners, hopefully on August the 9th, for both the land use map amendment and the rezoning. And then after that, if it were to gain approvals, it would go through the development review process, where we go through preliminary review with the Development Review Committee, and then final review and concurrency analysis thereabout. If there are any other questions about the process, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Okay. So moving on, we have the aerial. The subject parcels are highlighted in blue. The zoning of the subject parcels is agriculture. You can see there's the landfill PUD to the west, some commercial parcels located along the US 17 corridor, along with some industrial light and industrial heavy to the south on the US 17 corridor as well. Then we move to the future land use map. The subject parcels are A2 currently. There's a significant amount of A2 out there. There's also commercial along the US 17 corridor, the public facility to the west, and then industrial to the south. So to summarize staff's conclusions, the proposed amendment to the future land use map is consistent with and compatible with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan for the following reasons. First of all, it meets the locational standards. It abuts US 17, which is a principal arterial. Staff did a traffic analysis which shows available capacity along US 17. FDOT did an analysis as well, which is consistent with the staff's analysis. And also, it does not require non-residential traffic to go through an established neighborhood. The industrial land use is consistent with the area. The landfill is located to the west. You have Seminole Electric, which is located to the northeast. You have Georgia Pacific, which is located to the south, the barge port, which has multiple industrial uses over to the south, and then some other industrial uses that are located in the vicinity of the subject parcels. And then finally, multiple modes of transportation, which is required by the comprehensive plan for industrial future land use, are located in proximity to the proposed site. Obviously, first of all, US 17, which connects with 295 up in Jacksonville. You have the rail spur out in Bargeport. You have access to the waterway over in Bargeport, and then finally the airport is located within 5 miles of the proposed site. And also the rezoning, which is not before you today, but the industrial future land use is consistent with the industrial heavy zoning district as well, just to point that out. And staff recommends transmittal of the proposed large-scale map amendment, and if there are any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them.
Questions, commissioners? Mr. Cadle?
I have none, sir.
Seeing none, okay. We're going to open it up to the public.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
If I could, I guess two things. Correct my statement. I was thinking this was the rezoning, and this is the future land use, so that actually is a legislative function and not a quasi-judicial matter. So, for the record, that I want to make sure that that correction is made.
Because that, all right, that changes the hearing status?
Right.
Okay. So, Mr. Holmes, come on up. How are you this morning?
Great, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm here on behalf of George Hill and REO Funding. I'm here on behalf of two different applicants because Mr. Hill has completed the purchase of one of the parcels that is at issue. He is the purchaser under a contract of the other parcels subject to the comp plan amendment and the rezoning going through. Mr. Hill, in 2001 approximately, came before this body and your lower bodies to seek approval for establishing his business out on that area known as Marble today. He installed a plant that was state-of-the-art at the time and quite frankly still is, in that it uses computerized processes to move and cut all sorts of stone, marble, etc., and then provide it. He came on board in 2001. Things were great for a while, and then as everyone knows, the building industry took a turn for the worse, and he survived. A lot of his survival was attributable to his ability to adapt and ship his product elsewhere, which he did. He now employs 54 people on site at his facility, and he desires to expand. Again, attributable to his efforts and his ability to market elsewhere, and the quality of the work that he's able to produce and the processes that he has. That process is very unique in the country. At the time he installed it, I believe there was not another one other than in the New England area, as I recall. So in an effort to do that, he's going to require a distribution warehouse and truck distribution facility, and that's why he went forward and was able to obtain contracts to purchase, and in fact has already effected one of the purchases of the property that's around him. You're familiar with a convenience store out there, I'm sure all of you are, that abuts 17, and I guess it's called Landfill Road. This property would be the property, accepting out that landfill, that convenience store property, it would be that property or that corner, moving back to his present facility approximately, and then towards the landfill, I think towards the property that FP&L has over there to the west. I won't take a lot more of your time. The staff recommendation, I was particularly interested in the statement that you're looking at a change of intensity but not an increase in intensity in the staff report. The impervious surface permittable level is the same for the A2 as it is for the industrial, and the surrounding uses, from my perspective, essentially suggest that if this property isn't fit for industrial in Putnam County, then I don't know what property would be. You're right on 17, which is a major arterial, but yet not one that's overburdened as of right now. So I'll be happy to answer questions, but except for answering questions, I won't take any more of your time.
Any commissioners? Just one, trucks, it's a transportation element that he's adding to his business. Mr. Holmes, where will they primarily exit and enter the highway, ingress, regress?
Well, our original plan was to have them enter and exit off of Landfill Road.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, DOT may have something to say with where they enter and exit, but that was our original plan. As the site plan matures, quite frankly, it is his plan ultimately to have also right now his company is primarily limited to production of stone. Mm-hmm. At some point, he hopes to add the cabinetry to that, which would be a whole different distribution, both warehouse and network, but still on site. And so depending upon how the truck traffic, and also quite frankly, you also noted that we have a wetland designation, although no one as of right now is certain that wetland designation is correct. The property is in planted pines, but it may be. And so depending upon how he has to work around the wetlands in developing his site, I won't commit that he won't be using 17 as an access point, but his plan is to use Landfill Road.
Okay, we're good with that. We welcome, and you're to be commended for surviving. I go that way every day, and I said, how is he making it through the recession? But you did, and then we're proud to have you as a business, a very sharp-looking business. And you're right, Mr. Holmes, it's in the right place.
Mr. Chairman, I likewise was interested in, and I saw the letter from the Florida Department of Transportation. Before I drill down on that, I do want to commend, the owners for the forward thinking, forward vision, and the tenacity of enduring this tough economic time that we have faced, not only as a nation, but as a county. Mm-hmm. It says a lot. But Mr. Burns-Cato, the interpretation of the trip generation and the roadway capacity, does that raise any concerns in the department as it relates to forward progress of this project?
Well, the traffic analysis conducted by staff and DOT was actually a max analysis, which far exceeds what realistically will be able to be put on the site. It's just what FDOT requires for a large-scale map amendment. So there's no concern as far as the impact on US 17 as far as capacity. It's far below capacity, or exceeding capacity, excuse me. And second of all, during the development process, the applicant is in contact with FDOT and Public Works to make sure that the appropriate transportation facilities are accommodated to accommodate the development that is desired.
And certainly, I would hope that our Public Works is in the loop so that if there are any enhancements or upgrades that's required, nothing to hinder the forward movement of this progress, this project. I think we need to make a preemptive strike so that our Public Works engineers and directors know what is about to happen.
Yes, sir.
We want to be married to these kind of economic advancements. Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion if there's no.
Yes, sir, bring it on.
I so move that this transmittal takes place as it relates to the future land use map amendment from A2 to industrial Hill and REO funding, case number LM-16-002.
I second it.
All right, multiple seconds. Everybody,
Mr.
you're
Chairman.
welcome.
May I
Everybody,
have
bring
a
on
comment?
the business.
Yes,
Please, Ms. Harris.
Okay. I wanted to say that I remember when we first rezoned this and the building went in, and I've watched it grow with interest, and I think it's a business we can really be proud of. When you go up 17, it always looks nice and it looks progressive, and I'm so glad you survived the bad times and that you're growing. I wanted to say congratulations, and I will be happy to vote for this because I've seen it grow, and I'm just really pleased that you're doing well.
Commissioner Harvey.
Yes, I want to echo what Commissioner Harris says. I remember the day I was there at the grand opening, and we had church that day. I remember that. And God has blessed you, and I really want to say thank you. And I know our commission, our county thanks you, and we look forward to the expansion of this. So thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, with motion and multiple seconds, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You too.
Okay. Next, appointments, commissioners. Anybody working on this list?
Mm-hmm. When we get the Fair Authority, I have one, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman.
Before we go into the appointments, let me back up. Commissioner Flagg has a proclamation, and at this time, I would like to have Mr. Flagg meet Miss Angel Duke, who's with us today. Welcome, ma'am. If you would come to the podium, Commissioner Flagg will meet you there. We have a special proclamation on your behalf. And Commissioner Harris will read it into the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to read this since Mr. Randolph hailed from Crescent City. His father was actually a minister at the Union Bethel AME Church in Crescent City, and we have established that as an historic area. And in Crescent City, the historic walking tour includes that. And I want to say one more thing because I can't help it. At the Crescent City Women's Civic Association, when it was very active, Mrs. Golden, Reverend Golden's wife, told us one day, at a formal meeting, she said, what people don't really realize is how important A. Philip Randolph was. He was, the proclamation's going to say all the things that he did, but he was advisor to many presidents and very well respected. And he said at the presentation when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech, he said A. Philip Randolph was the organizer of the event. He invited Martin Luther King to speak at that event. This is a very important person, and it's my pleasure to read this. Whereas A. Philip Randolph was born April 15th in 1889 in Crescent City, Florida, and whereas A. Philip Randolph was a leader of a successful movement to organize the Pullman Porters to advance dignity to African Americans, and whereas A. Philip Randolph and Baynard Rustin established the A. Philip Randolph Institute in 1965 to continue the struggle for social, political, and economic justice for all working Americans. And whereas chapters across the state of Florida were established in his name, and whereas A. Philip Randolph Institute's mission is to improve the quality of life for the economically disadvantaged families by providing the necessary resources that improve their standard of living, foster self-improvement, self-empowerment, and self-sufficiency, and is dedicated to those disenfranchised by situations, circumstances, or indifferences. And whereas A. Philip Randolph Institute is dedicated to upholding the highest standard of community service by volunteering their time and efforts to making a difference in the lives of others. And whereas on June 18th, 2016, the observance of A. Philip Randolph Day will provide a unique opportunity for the citizens of Putnam County to join together in appreciation of the many contributions made by the A. Philip Randolph Institute in our continued well-being. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim Saturday, June 18th, 2016 as A. Philip Randolph Day in Putnam County, Florida, and encourages all citizens to recognize and honor the positive impact that A. Philip Randolph Institute has on the quality of life of the citizens of this county. Done, ordered, and proclaimed this 14th day of June 2016. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt this proclamation.
There is a motion on the floor.
Second.
And multiple seconds again. We thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's in the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Would like to make some remarks, and she would also like to have a photo with all 5 of us before.
We would like that too.
Thank you so much. You know, it is such a pleasure to be before you this morning. When I left here sometime in the 60s after graduating from high school, I never knew that I would come back and be before the county commissioners. I never thought I would ever be in this building, but then you never know. You never give up your dreams and your hopes. And when you do travel around the world, as I had the opportunity to do, you bring all that back home and you share, yes? And that is what I've done. Came back home 5 years ago. I traveled around the world with UNESCO. Quite honestly, I had never heard of Juneteenth until I traveled. So once I learned about the significance of Juneteenth and what it meant to our culture and the world, actually, I wanted to bring all that back here and embrace it and then put it back into our communities. And our commissioners in Crescent City, Florida, our mayors, the mayor of Palatka, they all embrace it also. So here I am before you this morning. I thank you so very much for believing in Putnam County, believing about all the greatness that we have to offer, in addition to the regular mundane things that we can't. I believe in we can. And this is what we've accomplished. Juneteenth is a day of recognition around the world. And now we are so blessed to be embraced by it with all of you. And I just want to say thank you so very much. And I do look forward to each of you hopefully coming down on the 18th and celebrate this fantastic day with us, because we have the representatives from Washington, D.C., from Orlando, UNESCO, whom I had a contract with. They're going to be here from New York. So how dare we not be there, yes? And thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that
Thank
with
you
us
for
today.
your
Ms.
leadership.
Sue.
Let's do the photo.
Who's our photographer? We need
I can be. No, I'm good. I'm nobody.
Tell me, who do I send this to?
Thank you very I thank Commissioner Harris and Ms. Duke for recognizing Crescent City's important role in this. Often it's referred to Jacksonville, and it burns me up every time they say it.
They claim it,
It
yeah.
should be Crescent City. So anyhow, we've got history straight this morning in this room anyway. It's all good. All right, Commissioners' appointments. We'll start with Affordable Housing Committee. We have 2 at-large positions. Anything to move forward there? Okay, let's move on to Fair Authority. Nothing there.
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Yes.
District 4.
Mhm.
I want to, if you don't indulge me for just a moment, if you don't mind, sir, I want to read a letter from Miss Sally Becker. I've had the honor of serving on the Putnam County Fair Board for several years. Very passionate about working with the youth in our county through livestock shows. I was an agricultural educator in our community for 10 years, and currently I'm teaching 5th grade. Serving on the Fair Board allows me to continue to touch the lives of children and keep my agricultural roots. I feel very strongly about education and keeping education at the forefront of our youth livestock shows in our county. Growing up, being part of this board was something that I've always interested in. I wish to continue working to make the difference in our community through my position on the Putnam County Fair Board. Mr. Chairman, I move approval that we reappoint Sally Becker to the Fair Board.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Sally Becker will serve again, and that's a very good appointment.
For District 5, Mr. Chairman, Herb Wilson said he has been proud and glad to serve the county, but he does not live in the county, and he's done his time and still supports the Fair Board, but is ready to step down. And in his place, I would like to make a motion that we appoint John Chastain as his replacement.
Good choice.
Okay, we have a
Second
motion
that.
on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Welcome, Mr. Chastain, another good appointment. Okay, Fishing Fund, anything there? Hearing none, we'll go to the North Florida Community Action Agency. We're got one appointment. Anybody? None there. Okay, Value Adjustment Board, still working on that. Mr. Jones has resigned there, and we'll hope to have that appointed by the next meeting. All right, County Administrator, Mr. Rick Leary.
I have nothing further, sir. Thank you.
County Attorney, Mr. Stacy Manning.
I have one item. As indicated in the letter that you all should have received a copy of, Chairman Leibel is no longer able to continue his service on the canvassing board. So this board needs to, according to statute, appoint a substitute for Chairman Leibel to serve on the canvassing board. The requirements for service are that the person not be an opposed candidate in the upcoming election and not be an active participant in the campaign of someone who is on the ballot for the election. So we're going to need this board to appoint someone as a substitute for that spot on the canvassing board.
Okay, I can make
Anybody can make a motion. It is a board action.
Well, I'd like to ask Ms. Harris if she would replace me.
I would.
I was thinking of this, and I would like to do it, but I already have been helping some people in the upcoming elections, so I think that disqualifies me.
You'd be disqualified from future action, but as you weren't on the board at the time, that would not be a disqualifying event.
Okay, and the other question that I had is, I am not running. What is the date? Will I still be a commissioner in November? I'm retiring in November. So will I still be able to serve? I mean, I'm willing to serve after my term. I don't mind, but I don't know what I'm allowed to do.
Well, since if this board were not able to appoint a substitute, then the chief judge would appoint an elector. So I think you're gonna be okay there because you're still an elector, you're still living in the county at that point, correct?
I'm still what?
You'll still be a resident of Putnam County,
Yes.
even after you've retired?
Well, for a period of time.
Right,
Yes.
up to the election.
Okay. Yes. So
If I'm not
glad to do it if I'm not making a mistake. I mean, if I'm not.
If I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Overturf's in the audience, the election is November the 8th, and typically the week after that is when the incumbent or the new elected
Next
commissioner is sworn in. So, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Okay, good. I'll be glad to do it.
Okay. Do we need that in form of motion?
There would need to be a motion and a
Offer the
vote?
motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mrs. Harris. Your last task as an elected official. And I was responsible for it.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question for Attorney.
Yes.
Does that still leave me as the alternate at
It
that
does,
point?
it does,
Okay.
and actually that helps a bit because then there would have had to have been another alternate, so.
And it also prohibits me from doing the same thing Commissioner Harris will. So-
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Manning?
That's it.
That's it. Okay, we go to Clerk of Court, Mr. Tim Smith this morning.
We have no items today, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you for being here. Commissioner comments, starting on my left, Commissioner Harris.
I don't have any, thank you.
Okay.
I would be remiss, Mr. Chairman, if I didn't mention that today is Flag Day. I intended to give you all today off as a holiday, but on second thought, you know, what better day to be doing the public's business, you know, on a national holiday. And also it's Flag Day with 2 Gs. Today marks the 30th anniversary of Carl and Terry Flagg.
Oh, very good.
Congratulations.
Very good. That's a milestone in life if there ever was one. Anybody else to my right?
I'm good, sir.
I
Thank you.
have nothing. Okay, with
So
that being
moved.
said, we stand adjourned. "30 years."
I did.